Tonight, wildfires have burned thousands of acres and destroyed dozens of homes here in Southern California. This is a picture that could be seen in lots of areas throughout the day. Fires flared up, in many cases burning home after home. And all many residents could do was run to safety. Fire crews were busy scrambling all day long, but in many cases they were just too late, forcing them to give up on some burning houses and trying to save the ones they could.
Now, two of the worst fires are burning in Carbon Canyon along the border between LA and Orange counties and in Glendale.
Fires there have destroyed or damaged more than 30 houses and were deliberately set. Bill Van Amberg was on the scene even before fire crews. He is in Glendale with the latest. Bill?
Well, it was a terrible situation that we faced out here, and we're standing in front of a home that only about 10 minutes ago the fire was put out at. There's still a number of other homes here in Glendale that are still smoldering or burning. Most of the worst of the fire, though, is out. About 34 homes total burned, a lot of them very nice homes in this area of Glendale. 18 of them were totally destroyed. There were a number of injuries, and there has been an arrest, at least of a person suspected of potentially causing the fire. It may have been an arson-caused fire. The police and the fire department are looking into that right now. But it's very hard to describe to you just what it was like being in the middle of this fire today. It got so out of control so quickly that it was just terrifying. And what it was a combination of the terrible heat we've been having and some freakish winds that caused a hellish afternoon.
Okay, we're gonna come protect this way, and then we're gonna this one here we're gonna ride off. We're gonna protect down here. We're not gonna come no further this way.
If you've ever wondered what a firestorm is like, what happened in Glendale today is as close as you'd ever want to come.
You've got gas mains going full blast down here. Oh, it's coming up from both sides, Chief. I think I'm gonna head back your way. I think we might just right off these houses over here.
It was frightening for people caught right in the middle of it, as what had started as a small hill fire erupted into a wind-driven monster, torching home after home, driving people running from their homes with whatever was most precious, or just plain running. The fire was just too hot and too fast for firefighters to keep up with. They'd move one street, the fire would jump two, taking houses, especially with wood shingle roofs, as it went.
Let me go lock up my house.
No, sir, I'm not going to
Let me go. Yes, you will, too.
No, sir, come on. I'm not leaving my house.
People who were home during the blaze often fought police to stay and save their homes. Others came from miles away, like Oscar Meyer, who grew up in this house.
My sister-in-law, my kids were in the house.
They were in the house?
Yeah, so I came to get my kids. Now I'm going to fight for the house.
The Hong family hoped they could stop the flames by throwing buckets of water from the patio and spraying the roof with water. But with neighboring homes exploding in flames, police convinced young David Hong to leave. But it literally took firefighters to escort his grandmother off her post, joining the ranks of displaced neighbors holding belongings who could only watch in anger and disbelief.
I never imagined how it'd be. I saw it, I've seen it on TV before. I never thought it'd be this bad.
Oh, I'm born and raised in Glendale. I've seen this hill on Verdugo burn every spring or summer for the last 15 years, and it has never gotten across the first street, and now it's all the way to the 2 freeway.
The spread of flame so stripped resources that police officers went to work holding hoses. One told me he'd much rather fight drug gangs. Firefighters had arrived on the scene of the blaze quickly, but even 200 personnel from upwards of 8 different departments couldn't keep what had seemed such a simple blaze at the beginning from wrecking a neighborhood. Well, you're looking at some of that wreckage now live here in Glendale. That's the inside of what used to be somebody's living room, and that is echoed in about at least 34 homes in this area. It really caught people by surprise. That little area of hill, I live in Glendale myself, and this little area of hill on Verdugo Road burns every year. It's just a little hillside, but most of the winds come Santa Ana fashion from the mountains, maybe more towards the ocean. The winds today were coming in from the ocean, blowing fitfully but very hard at times. And while firefighters were trying very hard to put out the flames, we got there with some of the lead engines. By the time they had tried to put out some of the fires at the first homes, it had already jumped 2 streets up. They simply could never catch up after that. Very grim scene out here, and a very sad one in Glendale. Obviously, these neighborhoods will try and come back, but they've got a ways to come back from at this point. That's the latest from Glendale. Let's go back to you now in the studio.
Bill, there was some word early on that they didn't get enough air support, the firefighters on the ground. What have you heard about that?
You know, I haven't heard any direct information about the air support. I will say this. I saw some of the LA County Fire Department guys doing some incredible flying. Part of the problem when you've got winds like this and the smoke, it was obscuring a lot of the direction that the flames were going, so they couldn't get in and dump very quickly. Certainly to people who were living in this area, it felt like it took an awful long time. I did see some guys making some incredible water drops that I didn't think they could make because of the heat and the winds, which makes for some very treacherous flying, especially when you're in smoke. So
And in a residential
that's
area.
basically the way. It was frightening. But I saw people dropping water on homes, and I haven't really seen that before. It was pretty good flying.
Okay, Bill, thanks very much from Glendale tonight.
And of course, residents in Glendale have been scrambling all day fighting to save whatever they can.
In many cases, that hasn't been much. Christina Gonzalez joins us live now from Glendale to tell us about the human toll from today's fires. Christina?
Well, you know, this Red Cross Center is right next to the fires. It's at Woodrow Wilson Junior High School on Monterrey and Verdugo. And even down here, we can smell the smoke from the fires burning up there in the hills. Now, they're offering lodging, assistance, and food. But most of the people have only been coming down for a few minutes, grabbing some water, and going right back up the hill to help the firemen. You see, most of these people came home this afternoon to fight that they had actually lost their homes. Some looked helplessly as their homes disappeared in smoke and flames. This woman got her children out minutes before the roof of her house gave away.
I lost everything, house, clothes, and everything.
Her mother had to be hospitalized for smoke inhalation. She had been trying to get things out of the house, but there weren't enough firemen. So as the flames hopped from one roof to the other, residents took on the battle themselves. Others barely had time to take things out of their houses, anything from furniture to pets.
We immediately opened up the sprinkler system, and the fire engine just came over about 5 minutes after that, and we got everything wet already, but no way to stop it.
At this point, their loss is incalculable.
The valuable items which are priceless. I mean, the money could not replace it. Those are the things that people gather over the years, and those are the things that it's priceless.
But things got even worse. The sound you're hearing behind us is natural gas, and that is where those flames are coming out of. Many were evacuated, but some stayed back to help the firemen. Others stayed to help each other deal with their grief.
We saved that one. Yes, thank you very much.
Well, about 20 families have been reunited at this Red Cross Center, but the official just told us there's about 200 people still up there. They refuse to come down. They do not want to come down. They want to stay and help fight the fire. So this center will remain open at least until midnight, maybe longer. There's no prerequisite. Anybody who's been affected can come down. If they cannot get down here tonight, they can call the Red Cross tomorrow and get some help. Live from Glendale, I'm Christina Gonzalez. Back to you in the studio.
So, Christine, it's safe to say there's a place for everyone to go.
Actually, yes, there is. If they cannot stay here and they do not have a home or a place to stay, the Red Cross can find them a place to stay for a night or two, yes.
Christina, thanks so much for your report.
Fire crews have taken to the air as well as the ground to battle a stubborn arson fire, one that started nearly 12 hours ago in Orange County and has now spread to San Bernardino County.
This one has also destroyed homes and forced residents to flee the Carbon Canyon and Sleepy Hollow areas. Kim Moreau is in Carbon Canyon right now with the latest. Kim, how's it look out there?
Pat and Dennis, as you can see, the hillsides of Carbon Canyon still ablaze tonight. I just got an update. More than 3,800 acres have now burned in this area. All told, 600 firefighters have been working these fires. With them, 4 helicopters dropping water and 2 air tankers still working tonight. All of this, officials say, the work of an arsonist. In the air and on the ground, this was a tough one for firefighters. No matter how hard they tried, sometimes their efforts were just futile, and home after home after home went up in flames. This fire is moving so fast that firefighters estimate that they're losing as many homes as they're saving. They're having problems with not enough personnel and not enough water.
Get that line right there!
Got it!
Where firefighters failed, homeowners and neighbors took up the slack. Jim Stewart was just passing through when he saw flames and decided to help.
Didn't think I'm just going to let their house burn down? Somebody's got to help the fire department. You know, they can't be everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, leave the area immediately.
Others just couldn't help themselves. When flames came through their hillside, John O'Hara grabbed what he could and just left.
I feel helpless. I've taken everything I could think of value from the house. Some things that kind of ridiculous, like my grandfather's watches were something, the first thing I grabbed.
But Joe Riccigliano has been here for 15 years and lived through 3 fires. He says he's here to stay.
This place is beautiful. When I wake up in the morning and I look out that window and I see this view, I worked hard to get this.
Any idea what you're going to do if this hillside does go up?
Yeah, I'm going to wait till it cools down. I'm going to build a house again.
Under arrest tonight is 29-year-old Peter Reyes. Officials tell me he is a transient. They say they believe that he set 2 fires at Carbon Canyon Regional Park, which is about 10 miles away from here. Those 2 fires then quickly spread from Orange County to where we are right now in Carbon Canyon. Reporting live from Carbon Canyon, I'm Kimberly Moreau. Back to you in the studio.
And Kim, I understand they also had a lot of water problems out there fighting that fire tonight.
Yeah, they did have some water problems out here. We're told that 6 structures are completely destroyed and several homes are damaged. And the problem is that there are not very many fire hydrants in this area. So they have these big trucks that are capable of holding hundreds of gallons of water, but they would dry up and then they would have to drive far away to refresh themselves. So that was the problem that they were having up here today. And this fire was so large that it was very, very hard for firefighters to know where to go at what time.
Yeah, okay, thanks very much. With the weather kicking up the way it did, they got outgunned in a hurry out there.
Well, late word in Santa Barbara County, a stubborn blaze is giving firefighters fits tonight. It's now burned 4,000 acres, destroyed 6 homes, and forced the closure of the southbound lanes of Highway 101, one of the main thoroughfares between Northern and Southern California. Besides that, there were other trouble spots here in Southern California today. Here's a look. LA fire crews had their hands full battling lots of fires that sparked up throughout the day. One burning in Pasadena caused lots of concern, but fortunately it caused little damage. It burned about 5 acres along the side of the 210 freeway and caused some tense moments for motorists. It started about noon. Firefighters had it wrapped up about a half hour later. More anxious moments from another blaze, this one near Universal City. And this time, residents took things into their own hands. They used garden hoses and fire extinguishers to keep the brush fire from spreading to nearby buildings. Investigators there are looking for the cause. Farther south, fire crews in San Diego say they're getting close to containing a big brush fire burning there. 800 acres are burning in the El Cajon area. So far, no injuries or evacuations. Fire officials tell us they hope to have it contained by midnight. And to the north, a fire burning near Ojai in Ventura County is already contained. That fire destroyed about 500 acres. Crews hope to have it controlled sometime tomorrow. Investigators say it was set off by sparks from electric wires on a power pole.
While many people are struggling with destructive fires, most of us are just struggling with the oppressive heat, setting another record here in Los Angeles today. The downtown high of 109 broke the old record set in 1976 by 7 degrees. Other highs in the area: 110 in Pasadena, 109 in Woodland Hills, 112 in Ontario. Though the official high was 109 today. Dave Bryan tells us now you didn't have to go far to find some unofficial readings that were even higher than that.
In Los Angeles, the bank temperature sign read 112 degrees, and that was before noontime.
Good, you got it.
In the valley, Myrna Rosella struggled to keep her second graders' attention in their year-round Reseda Elementary School. Cooled only by a fan, the classroom thermometer soared to over 100.
On days like this, I bring orange juice for the children, orange juice, and I let them keep their cups so they could keep filling it up and bring it to their chairs.
Fifth graders Jorge and Santiago Gonzalez say they were sweltering.
When we squish together and then you get hot, you get hotter and hotter.
Heat forced Reseda and 3 other unair-conditioned schools to close early. Principal Janie Taylor has worked 30 years in the classroom.
I think this is the hottest I have ever seen it.
Power companies across Southern California strained to meet the demand. New records were set today for the 2nd day in a row.
Today, peak demand hit 5,312 megawatts, which was 175 megawatts higher than peak demand yesterday.
Utility crews scrambled to fix transformers and power lines that could not stand up to the heat. East of Los Angeles, more than 80,000 Edison customers have suffered power interruptions during the 2-day heat wave. In Los Angeles, there was good news and bad news today for those trying to cool off from the heat. Almost all of the city's 53 pools were open today, but not until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A little late for some of these folks. Hundreds sweated it out in line waiting for 2 o'clock. When the pool finally opened, it looked like a small riot. Southland residents looked for relief anywhere they could find it. The pool, the beach, where temperatures were 20 degrees cooler than the inland valleys, a fountain in the park, even a water fountain. In Los Angeles, Dave Bryan, Fox News.
If you're wondering just why we're getting weather this hot, there are some answers a little later on Fox News. We will tell you what we do know about why we're getting all this heat and why some of it is still a mystery, so stay with us. We're also going to have a report from Tom Vakar, who's out in the desert at where it's usually the hottest, Death Valley, and he's going to tell us how to keep cool personally without hurting ourselves.
How to survive, and boy, do we need
That's
that.
right.
All right, just ahead, police try to zero in on a so-called Zodiac killer. We'll have the latest on that unusual murder case.
I'm Janet Zapala. Still ahead tonight, Madonna's #1 fan shows up at her last U.S. concert and has trouble getting in the door. And more military action against 2 Live Crew. Coming up on Fox Entertainment News.
And now the Fox First Forecast. As if you didn't know, more hot weather, a scorching 106. Stay with us.
Before there was Melrose Avenue, before L'Hermitage or Paramount, before Singing in the Rain or Gone with the Wind, even before the Hollywood Hills, there was the underground water of the Arrowhead Springs, protected to this day by total wilderness. In fact, Arrowhead may be the purest water you can taste, or could have tasted, in about the last 1,000,000 years. That's even before rock and roll.
A computerized control center, 12 city blocks of automated track, and a 10-story robotic arm. It's all part of the most sophisticated grocery distribution system in the world. And that's why Ralph's is able to go beyond low prices and be the best stocked store in the business with a guarantee that says if we're ever out of any advertised item, we'll give you a Ralph's dollar good on anything in our store. Ralph's, everything you need, every time you shop.
Push it, click it, press it, flick it, tune it in, turn it on. This is what you watch it on. Any way you work it, integrate your circuit at the city. Circuit City.
Come to the place you're welcome. Technology with a heart. Welcome to Circuit City, where service is state of the art.
At Circuit City, we get higher customer satisfaction ratings than any other specialty home electronics and appliance chain.
Welcome to Circuit City, where service is state of the art. My mama told me you better shop around. Shop. Oh yeah, you better shop around. Shop around. Whoa, I try to get yourself a bargain, hon. Don't be sold on the very first one. My mama told me you better shop around.
You better shop at Close Time. At Close Time, the exact same clothing costs much less every day. Close Time.
You better shop around.
Those of us in California have bad memories of a person calling himself the Zodiac Killer, and tonight it's the people in New York City who are living the nightmare. More than 1,000 tips have flooded a police hotline as investigators look for a killer who says he follows the stars as a pattern for his mayhem. So far, police believe the same suspect has shot 4 people. The latest came last Thursday when a homeless man sleeping on a bench in Central Park was shot. The man says a few days before the shooting, a stranger asked his birth date. The victim's astrological sign is Cancer, and that fact was mentioned in a note found at the scene. The so-called Zodiac has sent 6 notes to police and news organizations hinting his crime spree is directed by the stars. The theory that worries police most goes like this. Since the first 3 shootings were near the border of Brooklyn and Queens, and the 4th in Central Park, it's possible the shooter is trying to trace the stars of Orion's belt in blood across New York City. One of the notes makes mention of a belt in the heavens. Over the weekend, the shooter became a killer.